The first Prime Minister's questions of 2026 emerged as one of the most dramatic, closely scrutinized, and politically symbolic parliamentary sessions in recent memory, transforming what many had assumed would be a routine procedural return to Westminster into a prolonged and revealing test of leadership that immediately shaped expectations for the year ahead, as the atmosphere inside the House of Commons was already tense even before the opening exchanges began, reflecting a Britain grappling with persistent cost of living pressures, rising household anxiety, stretched public services, ongoing debates about economic direction, and a deeper public unease about trust, transparency, and accountability in political leadership. And against this backdrop, every question, response, pause, and reaction inside the chamber carried an added sense of consequence that extended far beyond the walls of Parliament. As the session progressed, attention increasingly settled on Keir Starmer, who entered the first PMQs of the year facing heightened expectations to project authority, decisiveness, and reassurance at a moment when political narratives often begin to harden. Yet several moments appeared to challenge that objective, particularly when follow-up questions demanded sharper clarity or more definitive positioning on complex issues, leading to noticeable pauses, carefully calibrated wording, and visible efforts to steady the exchange and regain narrative control. Responses that supporters framed as evidence of caution, responsibility, and an understanding of the complexity of governing in an uncertain climate, while critics interpreted the same moments as hesitation and vulnerability at a time when the public often seeks firmness and confidence from national leadership. The opposition, meanwhile, approached this opening PMQs of 2026 with a clearly defined and deliberate strategy, opting not for brief confrontation, but for sustained, methodical pressure through persistent questioning, an approach that political analysts quickly described as a confidence signal and an early indication that the year ahead could be defined more by confrontation than compromise, as opposition figures appeared determined to set the tone early, frame the political conversation around accountability, and test leadership endurance under prolonged scrutiny rather than isolated exchanges. This tactic resonated strongly with segments of the public who feel Parliament has too often failed to reflect widespread frustration built up over years of political instability, economic uncertainty, and repeated policy reversals, though others cautioned that an increasingly combative parliamentary culture risks deepening divisions, accelerating political fatigue, and further eroding trust in institutions already under strain. Outside the chamber, reaction unfolded rapidly and on a massive scale, with clips, commentary, and interpretation spreading across social media platforms within minutes, as viewers analyzed not only the substance of answers, but also tone, body language, pacing, and moments of visible strain, sparking debates about whether the session exposed deeper leadership vulnerabilities or simply illustrated the inevitable pressure that accompanies high-stakes parliamentary scrutiny. While traditional media outlets were quick to characterize the PMQs as tense, revealing, and politically significant, prompting commentators to question whether this represented merely a difficult opening session or an early warning sign of challenges that could define the year ahead. What elevates this particular PMQs beyond routine parliamentary drama is its timing, as the first session of a new year often serves as a political barometer, shaping expectations, influencing narratives, and establishing momentum for both government and opposition, offering an early glimpse into how leadership responds under pressure and how aggressively challengers intend to pursue their agenda. And for Starmer, this session underscored the delicate and often unforgiving balance required between authority and responsiveness, confidence and caution, decisiveness and deliberation, in a political environment where every answer is dissected, every hesitation amplified, and every exchange replayed far beyond Westminster. while for the opposition, it represented an opportunity to assert presence, signal readiness for confrontation, and influence public discourse from the very outset of the year. The broader significance of this PMQs lies not only in the immediate exchanges themselves, but in the wider questions they raise about leadership resilience, political communication, and public expectation in modern Britain, as voters increasingly judge leaders not only on policy outcomes, but on performance under pressure, clarity of messaging, and perceived authenticity in moments of challenge. Whether this first Prime Minister's questions of 2026 ultimately proves to be a defining turning point in the political landscape will only become clear with time, but its immediate impact is already unmistakable, having intensified debate, sharpened political divides, energized media scrutiny, and signaled that the year ahead at Westminster is likely to be marked by heightened confrontation, sustained pressure, and an environment in which every appearance, every response, and every moment of uncertainty will be closely watched, repeatedly analyzed, and continuously judged by Parliament, the press, and a public increasingly attentive to how power is exercised under scrutiny.